I heard a huge bang. I turned around and my neighbour was there, and he had thrown one of the big retaining wall stones on the driveway after me. My greatest fear is that we get hounded out of this house by his unreasonable behaviour. Repeatedly, I find dirt scattered over my driveway. On Friday, I came down the driveway. In front of my garage, there was dirt. Probably doesn't seem like much. It was scattered over, and you sort of almost have to look hard to see it there, but there were clods of earth there as well. This is where the dirt was, scattered right across the front of my driveway, or my garage door, rather. And this is the one, I guess, that threw me over the edge because it's really deliberate.
It's their dirt falling onto my property. I don't want it on my property. They can have it back, so I started throwing it back. I did that a few times. I didn't get any reaction, so I started biffing it further over onto their property, trying to get a reaction from them. These people had the gall to come onto my property and carry out earthworks while I was away, without my knowledge, without my permission. That's what really gets me. When I came back from Australia, I wasn't quite sure what was happening, but this wall was in the wrong place, right? It was up to here. They had pushed the dirt well over onto my property and angled it off like this so that they didn't have to build a retaining wall. So I've since restored that, and I can only go up to the boundary, obviously, and now it's falling away into my property and they've done nothing. I've told them about it. They refuse to do anything about it. I don't know why. So in the end, I thought, this is not working.
He has done other things which I have seen, which lead me to believe it's quite literally an orchestrated campaign of harassment. My son somehow got an infected hip. He was in a wheelchair, and because he couldn't walk because of the pain in his hip. And as we were coming down the driveway back to the house, I heard a huge bang. I turned around and my neighbour was there, and he had thrown one of the big retaining wall stones on the driveway after me. He was walking over to get another one. Nearly kills me, honestly. 20 or 30 kilos maybe. That was really scary, and soon after I got somebody in to put locks on the doors and a deadlock. I
thought, well, these are not my blocks. I'm going to throw them back onto their property. What I was doing was throwing a block a day or something like that over onto their property, just to piss them off, you know, into getting rid of them.
So there was another time when I came out of my driveway on my way to work one morning. It was fairly early, and I just backed out, turned into the turning bay. As I looked up to the top of the driveway, I saw that my rubbish bin had been emptied down my driveway. I could see yellow blobs, pack and save bags, down my driveway, and honestly my heart just sank, thinking, oh my God. Do you know the kicker is, some weeks I don't even put my rubbish bin out. Ridiculous. Such a... Imagine living like that over a rubbish bin. It's just not right. One other thing that happened was finding dog poo on my driveway as well. My son had taken to walking a neighbour's dog around the neighbourhood. So I asked my son, you know, if the dog had pooed on the driveway or whatever. He said no. And I said, well, where does he do it? And he said, Mum, he doesn't. Well, let's face it, no dogs poo on concrete, do they?
Blue believes this poo is the neighbour's doing, so to speak.
And I'm convinced it was put there by my neighbour from up there on the other side of the fence, here just to annoy me, and that's the stuff that I had to clean up.
Did Keith do this on purpose?
Dog poo? I'd like to know where she thinks I get dog poo from, but no, I don't go on the driveway.
Keith also denies interfering with Blue's rubbish.
My greatest fear is that we get hounded out of this house by his unreasonable behaviour. You're talking to somebody who now feels like I'm under siege. You know, too scared to go out just in case the arrows should fly. It's awful.
Blue finally gave in and moved the retaining wall back.
Originally, the turning bay was out 32 centimetres. It was measured from the block foundation by my builder. And so cut back, this fence had been taken down and has been repositioned as well. So my neighbour has gained 32 centimetres. He's still not happy with it. And I'm not quite sure what else there is to do. As I've done on many occasions, I've tried to right the wrong, but my neighbour wasn't happy with that.
So now they've got the retaining wall that's been rebuilt back, but it's still actually in my property because they chose to ignore the boundary peg and it's still in my property. I know it's not much, but if you understand all the problems I've had with these people, I'm just not going to accept that.
Keith's not happy and he's not taking any chances.
I've got security cameras put up, mainly because I wanted to keep an eye on what these people have been doing while I'm away from the house. I feel really ugly actually having to resort to such tactics to try and get these people to do the right thing with all the injustices that they've done to me. They started this fight and I'm damn well going to see it finished.
There's absolutely no need whatsoever for any of this to happen that I'm sure couldn't be fixed up by a conversation between two intelligent adults.
We're heading straight to the Panmure Lagoon Sailing Club for mediation. And so is a certain New Zealand broadcasting legend. Brian Edwards has been on air almost as long as the air itself. Not only that, he has a history of resolving disputes in a single television segment.
So you tell me what you think has gone wrong.
The retaining wall that has been built
Yeah.
is over the boundary onto my property.
By how much?
About that much. In their arrogance, they chose to ignore the boundary peg.
You talk about the boundary line, but you can't define a boundary line if you don't have two clear points. I acted in good faith, and the builder did what he could based on what information we had.
You people have acted in a criminal way
Can
to
I
come
stop
onto
you
my
for
property.
a second? See what happens in these sort of
did-
conversations? You see, now we're going backwards.
It's round in circles.
So we're going.
Yeah,
no,
that's-
it's not round in circles. It's backwards. How would you like it put right?
I want to see a retaining wall go up there and the
Right.
work done properly.
So what you're saying is you want a retaining wall at the top grassy area.
Yes.
So, okay. So that's upping the ante a little bit. So one has to be moved, and a new one has to be built. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
A new one has to be built.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's going to pay for the retaining wall?
Well, I'm certainly not.
If it's only a retaining wall,
Yes.
you're priceless, to get peace of mind.
Okay, my understanding is this, that we have an agreement here. Will you now shake hands on this deal, please?
Yeah, fine. Okay.
Right. I want to deal with these things that you believe that Keith did, and these include throwing rocks over onto your property, throwing soil over onto your property, possibly putting dog shit on your pathway. Did you throw rocks over onto the property?
Yes.
Bricks, you did.
You think it was reasonable throwing rocks in my direction when I was pushing my son in a
I
wheelchair
did
down
not
the
throw
driveway?
anything in your direction.
I was walking down the driveway and the rocks were thrown behind me.
You were walking there and I threw that way. You're, again, not acknowledging and you're not going to move these blocks, so I'm saying, here's another one.
That is not a reasonable thing to do. is
No,
it?
it's not, and that's what it came to.
All right. The soil, what about the soil?
I have asked Blue on more than one occasion what you're going to do about that, and you just stood there and said nothing when that policeman was there. It worked last time with the throwing of the blocks. I got action, so I started throwing the dirt over again.
All right,
It's
okay.
not my dirt.
All
you
right,
can
yeah,
have
no,
it back,
got it. What about the dog poo?
The dog poo, I don't know anything about that.
Can you both be friends, at least in the sense that there's no fighting after this?
Absolutely.
You can. Can you be friends on that basis?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Brilliant. Let's shake hands, because you've done superbly well. Well done. Good outcome.
I just hope that after the retaining wall's been built and the other one replaced, moved, that nothing else comes up.
Once the work that's been agreed to has been carried out, then Blue will have no problems from me.
Given that we've agreed on a way forward, that's a really good result.
You never know. Me and Blue might even say hi to each other when we walk past,